Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Velasquez Blog Show. I have Cristobal Pacheco here with me.
What's going on?
Pretty much, I'm gonna go ahead and intro him real quick before we move on to what we want to talk about. He's 28 years old. He lives in San Juan Capistrano, California. He's been married for 5 years. He does a lot of things. So I'm not right now. I could have introduced him about one thing, but you know what? I'm gonna ask him about everything he does right now, and he does a lot of things. Okay, and I'm sure he's probably gonna forget a couple of things, but he's just all over the place. He's just an entrepreneur, and that's what we're gonna talk about today: entrepreneurship. But what I do want you to know is that he was a Marine Corps veteran. He served from 2014 to 2018 as a AAV crewman. And pretty much is just a 1833 for the people that been in the military and the Marine Corps. He was a amphibious assault vehicle. I don't know if he got to commander, but he drove those water tanks. I don't know if you guys seen those before, but that's pretty much how I'm gonna identify it for these purposes. And speaking of that, our community did suffer a tragic accident while during training, and it's a very small community. The Amtrak community is a really small one, and most Marines that serve, they really don't hear about it until something happens, or unless they know somebody that's done it. So uh, right now, we're going through that, and it's just such a huge loss for us, and not just us, but also the infantry. They also have men in there, and it just sucks that these things can happen while you're training. That's why we always take this training seriously, because war, you already know you got to take it serious, but training, you can also die in training, as you can see, and things can happen. So uh my my deepest condolences to those families that lost their loved ones due to this incident. And anyways, to continue introducing my friend here before we hit the topic of entrepreneurship, he got his bachelor's degree at the National University. Is that how you say it, man? National University?
Yeah, National NU, National University. Yeah.
Okay, and he got it in 2016, and he got his master's degree in business at USC uh, MBV program graduate. So pretty much
Yes.
that's where he got his master's for business, and he was the board of the USC Marshall Alumni Association and Elite OC for young professionals giving back. He's also an active volunteer with Saddleback Church.
Yeah.
I will not hold you any longer, and I want to talk today about entrepreneurship. Okay, so
Yeah.
pretty much, and the reason why I chose you to join me today was because you do a lot of things. Okay, and I think that a lot of people don't understand that everybody has a beginning. Okay, you're Hispanic, and I'm sure you have a great story to share with me about how you began, and that not everything has been great. Everything looks great now, but I'm sure there was a process. I'm sure there was a beginning that led up to this moment. So go ahead and tell me, man. How did you begin your process? I mean, where did everything start? You didn't start everything at once. So what is the first thing you feel that you accomplished that opened many doors?
Hey, first, before I begin on that, want to say so honored to be on with you, Jeffrey. And I really appreciate all the support and love you've given me on social media, man. And I'm happy that, we didn't get to meet while we were in the Marine Corps, but I mean, we're here creating content, man. And, speaking on AAVs, my deepest condolences to all the family members. We also had another platoon commander that actually I served under that died as well, and not related to the incident, but very, very heartfelt time right now within the community. And, if any 1833 guys are out there listening to this, man, it just shows you got to go hard in life, because you don't know when it's gonna take. You don't know when it's gonna go. You got to treat every day as a blessing. But thanks for having me on again, Jeff. And yeah, I guess you know I guess I'll just kind of tell a story, man. And from the beginning, so I grew up kind of around entrepreneurship because of my parents, right?
Okay.
My parents were both mortgage loan originators since I began, and I wanted to stay as far away as possible from that, right? because I just saw like all the stress and the good times, the bad times that happen with it, right? So I basically like grew up like in their offices shredding papers, right, for them. Um, so it's kind of like a DNA. It's kind of been in my DNA to always kind of just build something on my own because my my greatest influence, my father, um, always taught me that, and it got even spiked even more when he passed away when I was a senior in high school. So that was a huge turning point as far as like I felt like there had to be another legacy that had to be unfinished business, right?
Sorry for
Especially
your
for
loss,
my
man.
families. No, yeah, no, it's no worries, and and my dad, he died with dignity. He there was a tough time in the mortgage industry before that, where there was a lot of toxic loans out there, and people getting into shady mortgage contracts, and it was just a terrible time. It was a terrible time. Um, but anyways, so my senior year, I had all this freedom. So I was kind of like always very sheltered because, I went to private school, my parents were successful. And when the economy tanked down in 2008, I actually like my life got jolted, as in like I went to a public school and I grew up in Chino in the IE, right? And complete different environment from, private school, wearing uniform to, like literally walking through metal detectors going to school, right? Complete different change, right? But I was going to school now with all the homeboys on the block. So, I fit in, whatever. But I started just seeing like a different element, like a different freedom that I've never experienced, right? So went to
Let me
California
ask
for
you
one.
a question real quick before you hit
Yeah,
the good stuff, because
yeah.
this is very important that you talk about the different worlds when it comes to school. So let me ask you
Mhm.
this: whenever you switch from one school to the other in
Yeah,
2008 during this crisis your family was going through,
yeah.
did you feel like there were two different worlds? Like you came, and I don't want to sound negative because when we use the word privileged, it sounds very negative nowadays. But let's
Yeah,
say uh, you come from a privileged environment into a public environment where people have
yeah,
low income,
yeah.
students to come to these schools. Did they feel like different worlds to you?
Oh yeah, no, and like I mean, I didn't grow up like necessarily like I. It was weird, like the way that my dad was. Like I felt like I was always prepared for the military because my dad was a hardcore disciplinarian. Like I had to always have my, I always had it hated having my hair like how I have it now, but he like always wanted to have spikes and like bleached hair and like I couldn't walk out of the house without my shirt tucked in. And for those who are listening, old friends, I'm gonna repost this, who know my dad, they know how he was, like extremely strict, right? So I grew up in like an environment where education was hardcore focused. But yeah, other people around us and people in our school, private school, parents were very well off. They were all going to colleges, not have to worry about financial aid. But I still lived kind of like where the all the public school kids went to like where they lived, right? My parents just put like a huge focus on the private education, but yeah, just complete 180. Like you're going from a place that most people have the to a full whole family to where it's maybe just one mom. And I mean, I had friends at Chino High School, and Chino's kind of like a dairy town, right? It's like you have a lot of immigrants, obviously, right? And you got
Okay.
a lot of old timers that live there. So it's you had like a lot of working class people, right? And then on the other, and I'm not saying that the other people weren't hardworking on the other side, but I'm just talking like directly with like the people I associated with, right?
Okay.
I had homeboys who were doing homework and they were going to work like right after their homework was done. And that was something that was kind of like eye opening to me because I didn't have to do that until when the economy was starting to tank out, right?
Yeah.
So, um, I was very blessed. I was very blessed with a loving family, a loving mother. She kind of pulled the weight for all of us. But yeah, two different worlds to say the least, man.
All right, man. And now, when did things began to turn around when it came to like you starting to being independent when it came to making
Yeah,
your own money, making your own adult decisions to the point where you know what, it's time for me to take charge of my financial decisions and financial
yeah,
responsibilities because there's a lot of people out there that they're not in the best shoes, they're not in the best environment, and they want a restart. You know, they want to get their
yeah.
stuff together. You know, they want to be able to become successful at some point. How did you
Yeah.
do it?
I think that mine definitely started. So my senior year, once I went to Cal Poly Pomona, I had an academic scholarship, so I had everything paid for and everything, right? And I mean, my parents always put a huge focus on education, so I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go and get educated. But there was like always that entrepreneurship thing inside of me to have like my own business and everything, right? So what happened was, I started socializing a lot, drinking, hanging out with frats, going to parties all the time, socializing, networking, right?
Yeah.
And I got, but I got super involved with like programs like the Chamber of Commerce in Pomona, Latino Student Business Association, and I was like, wow, you can actually like network and build yourself and like get to know people and like create your own success, right? The problem was I was so distracted by all that, girls and everything, right? 18 years old, never had that freedom in my life, never went to parties in high school, right? To just immediately being independent and like not coming home some nights, right? I went from those two different environments, and it distracted me from school, from the main mission of like why I was there, right? So I always had this like, and I had this thing always like, that's when the chatter started saying, hey, to be in business, you don't need to go to college. You don't need to. But my mom was just so stuck on it, right? But that started eating at my head. So my first job, so I went to a chamber of commerce in Pomona. And if you don't know what like basically what happens to a chamber of commerce, it's basically like a meeting for like business owners. So you already have to have like a business, and like, just it's kind of expensive to be a part of it. But I just showed up and I came with my resume. It's like, hey, like I just want to work for somebody, right? So what happened was I met a guy who actually, and I won't name drop or anything, who had a magazine, and he wanted me to sell ads in this Latino magazine. So I started going door to door in the hood in Pomona, right? For those who haven't been there, it's the hood. Um, Door to door asking people if they wanted to advertise in this magazine, to have like a little piece in this magazine, right? And it was a free magazine, they passed it out, right? So one of my clients there was actually a business, and I'll send you some of these photos to add to the video if you want, Jeff.
Okay.
I actually had a Mexican restaurant, right? And then my good friend Pedro, who's, and I'll name drop him because he's my good homeboy. He saw the success of what he was getting out of just this little coupon ad that was in our magazine, because people were actually starting to come in. Then to launch the magazine, me and Pedro, we actually had like an event with like the local radio station at the Pomona Swap Meet, right? And Pedro came with his what do they call it, comel? How do they call it in Spanish? Where you, like basically like a stove, and was cooking for
Un
people, and
comal.
it comal, yeah, it
Uh-huh.
just made a killing. And he
Okay.
was just like, Chris, like how else can we like do business and do this, right? So he had an empty ballroom in his restaurant. And where his restaurant was at, it was in downtown Pomona. A lot of clubs, the Fox Theater, who had like top tier talent that was having concerts. So it was always cracking around there, right? And I used to hang out there just on Friday nights, with Pedro, and people would come in. I'm like, man, we should have our own place. So we ended up building a stage inside of his restaurant,
Okay.
and we're like, hey, let's just throw like a nightclub, let's just throw like some, like have some music or whatever, right? Came out of pocket. And for me back then, I was so naive that I just thought like, hey, I get a DJ, I tell my friends, they all show up. Literally like 10 people showed up that my first night, bro, right? Even my my ex from back then, my girlfriend from back then, ended up breaking up with me because she brought all the homegirls, right? And there's like literally nobody there, like no dance floor. It was like me and like the few workers that were there, some of my homeboys, and that's it, right? And an
Yeah.
empty dance floor, fog. It was actually foggy because there was no bodies in there to absorb all the smoke. Um, and so then like I just started thinking, how do I get this better? How do I get this better? Started talking to local promoters, started saying, hey, let's have an event at this place. I have this area. And slowly but surely more people started coming. And then we had some cracking nights, right? Now this is the other part of business that people don't like talking about because everybody has ideas and they want to put it out there, right? All the licensing, all the paperwork, all the contracts, all the unsexy stuff that comes with that. You can't just throw a nightclub like that and just have people. You have to have a guard that's going to be checking IDs at the door. You got to have the live DJ license, right? You got
Yeah.
to respect our codes. All that was broken, right? So we were going here for like 3 months like this, right? Then one random day, just a hard fine from the city of like $25,000, bro. And basically, it was like almost like a threat, like a cease and desist. Like you're gonna have to pay this, or you're gonna have to discontinue. So luckily, I didn't have to pay it, but I discontinued the event, right? So that was like my first real taste, right? So I would say that that's like my first business, right? Then came a digital marketing business, and that was like a complete roller coaster because we were kind of getting mentored by somebody that we really trusted that ended up becoming basically a fraud, right? And we were taking money from people back then and not producing like any results for them. Like it was just like a pump and dump like scheme, and we were getting followed. Never again. I broke off from all that, and that's when my mom actually ended up kicking me out. She's like, you just need to like restart. You got to go do it. You're not in college. 20 years old. My mom just said, yeah, vayate. Done with you.
That's crazy,
Just
man.
go and
That's
figure it
crazy,
out. Yeah.
because most moms will want their sons to be there. Like I know a lot of mothers in the Hispanic community that actually want their sons to get out of the house until they're like 40 or 30, until they prepare at some point in their life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your case was different. And
Yeah.
real quick, you mentioned something about a scam when it came to a digital marketing. Can
Yeah.
you just give us a quick tip before you continue about how to avoid scammers that are trying to
Oh,
promote people, because they take advantage of the situation? This
yeah.
guy is desperate. He needs people. He needs followers. He
Yeah.
needs this.
Yeah.
He needs this going so he can get what he wants with his business. How do you avoid scammers?
This is what I got as an advice to your client, to anybody that's listening that has
Okay.
like a business and they're trying to start up, right? If your product isn't top tier, if it is not A1, if you're not getting clients already, top line revenue right now, do not hire a digital marketing agency. Work on your product first before, because look, what we do marketing wise, advertising wise, that's the easy part. The hard part is building a good product and a good service. Whether you're a realtor, whether you have an e-commerce store, whether you have a tire shop, doesn't matter. You got to have a good product. So there's certain
You gotta craft your product first, right? You gotta
right,
have something
right, and
to show. You can't just
right,
you can't just show a product that you don't even know how it works. You have to make sure it works
right.
in every angle possible in order for you to be confident to sell it yourself. Is that what you're saying?
And the big yes, and then the biggest scam here is there's digital marketing, and everybody's in digital marketing now because of Ty Lopez and all these guys and Gary Vee and all these guys, right? Grant Cardone, all these guys are like getting into the industry, and I would say like 85% of companies that are out there are BS in the
Yeah.
fact that they'll promise you the world, but then they'll like make up excuses for why something didn't work out, but you signed that 6-month contract. Now that's how we were rolling, bro. And I thought that was the only way to do business. And I was just, and our mentor was just like, man, screw these guys. Like, we got their money. Like, don't worry about it. And it just felt like the wrong thing to do, man. And I had to just separate myself. I went back to dishwashing, bro, in the restaurants out here in Orange County. So Basically at 20 years old, man, mom kicked me out. Was living in my car for about 2 months, bro. Couch surfing, right? Couch surfing. Throughout, with girls, with other people, homeboys that let me stay a couple nights, whatever, right? Um, Started to get back on my feet. Went to Santa Ana College. Started to get back on my feet. Still had the entrepreneurship stuff on my mind, right? Literally trying to be a firefighter because I thought that was gonna be my career. Went to Santa Ana College, right? Went to a Long Beach fire department to try to apply. There's literally like a line out the door, like 10,000 dudes there. And I saw gray hair, and I was just like, and I'm talking to these dudes, and they're like, we've been waiting for like 10 years to be a firefighter. I was just like, I don't have 10 years, dog. I have to be a firefighter like right now. Luckily, man, had a girl named Nikisha. If she's watching, she's one of my good homegirls, former Marine, staff
Oh, okay.
sergeant, right? Now check this out. In my class, right? She shows me her bank account, 150,000, right? I was just like, yeah. She's like, you can get this, Chris. Like, don't, yeah, you can get it. I didn't ask no questions. I didn't do my homework. I didn't do nothing. I just thought that she made that money because of the Marine Corps, dog. And it's hard to save 150,000 if you're a Marine, dog, right?
It's
I
almost
was,
impossible. It's almost impossible because you know how you start getting paid. You start to get paid less than the minimum wage if you do the math, right? And I'm
exactly,
not good at math, so you
exactly,
can just imagine someone
exactly.
that's really good at math. They're gonna give me a set
And she
amount.
had, and she had this saved, right? So I'm going into the Marine Corps thinking this whole time that I was gonna be making, like just duh, I'm gonna come out my 4 years,
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
gonna
hundred,
become rich.
chilling. Found out that she has an amazing job at the postal service, with the postal service, right? Found out she did 15 years in the Marine Corps,
No,
came out as a
okay,
staff
okay.
sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
Found out that she got 100% disability. Found out
Oh,
she's getting paid to go to school, right? Now it made all sense.
it makes
But
like
this whole
she's
time,
making like 8K a month, and she still wants to do
I,
more. Uh-huh.
I went in and I saw how much the pay was, and I was just like, are you kidding me? And I thought this whole entire time, I was like, I was in boot camp still thinking I was gonna make bank, right? And and I asked my recruiters, are you gonna be able to make some good money? And they're like, yeah, of course. They said, yeah, right. But anyways, so it was crazy because I had my guy Nick in the in a boot camp, and we're still good friends to this day. He actually became an officer,
Okay.
and he and I used to be bunkmates, and we became really close and just kind of like accountability partners. Stayed close throughout our career, still close, man. He's married, he's doing his thing out in Utah and or Colorado, and I wrote down some goals, Doug. I wrote down some goals. I wrote down SC. I wrote down start a business. So I was already trying to see, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? Right? Finish college, right? So this was what was crazy. And this is kind of part of the story. My first deployment, right? It was literally just a float, 31st Mu. I was in Okie, and my business, I had a partner who actually joined that digital marketing business before, who actually broke away from it, became an awesome digital marketer on his own, web developer. His name's Nick Casillas. He's still my business partner to this day, loyal to me back then. And he actually got into that business because he loaned me $1,000 for an event that was a complete flop. And I said, here, 10% of my business. And he was all in. That was like the most exciting thing that ever happened to him in his life, right?
Yeah.
And if he's watching, he's gonna laugh, right? He went and became a badass digital marketer, bro. Out in Dallas, actually. He was living, he met his wife out there that he's married to. They have a beautiful kid. I'm the godfather of their kid, man. Very close with the family and everything, though. He randomly called me. He was just like, hey, Chris, I need a salesman, dog. I need like somebody to be out there. Like, I have this business. I was just like, okay, let's hit it, bro. And that was the start of Surge, which is still, so May of 2016, which is still around right now. We still got it fully operating and everything, serving 18 clients on a monthly basis, right? Now, had a lot of struggles there, brother. had a lot of struggles. Bro, I was in the Marine Corps. You never knew when you were getting off time. And like, we were just like, he was barely making ends meet. I was still in the Marine Corps, stressed out, like keeping the company afloat. And it was just a back and forth, right? And it was probably like year 3.5, dog. We this past May was 4 years of our business being alive. But we started just looking down and saying, hey, you know what? Like, for me, I felt like I was almost entitled. Like, I feel like they should have paid us that money, right? And we knew our value. And Jeffrey, I mean, to this day, like, we have several clients that make over $150,000 a month off of online stores. Now, I showed you all the stuff that they sold. You probably wouldn't ever wear it, but there's a customer out there for it, which is
It's
a
always
good thing.
someone. Yeah.
There's a customer, and these guys that create these companies, some of them don't even wear their own product, but they serve a customer. They serve a customer and they create a product for a customer, dog. And they've taken their own preferences out of it, right? So everybody wants to have a badass t-shirt, a badass hat with their logo, whatever, right? But that's not necessarily the case. The reality is you got to serve a customer. Sometimes, you are your own brand, right? That you are the product, right? But I've seen a lot of cases where the guy who makes or the gal who makes the product is not even into it. They just created the product, perfected it, asked the subject matter experts, did their research, and fed a hungry client that had a demand for their product, right? So, anyways, brother, I got out of the Marine Corps, went to SC, Dream School, USC. That opened up just a multitude of opportunities. Oh, and before I joined the Marine Corps, I helped the guy basically, and I'm not going to name drop, basically helped the guy become like almost like a celebrity Marine. He was actually my boss, right? And
Okay.
the homeboys that are listening, they know what it was. They know what I was involved in. I was like, I even became popular. My Instagram account went up to like almost 13,000, right? And I actually started a brand new Instagram account because it was just like a lot of like leftover fans from that weren't into the stuff that I'm doing now, right?
Okay.
Basically just split up from that relationship. It was very toxic. On the fringe of divorce with my wife. So glad I split away from that business because I was able to save my marriage, right, with my wife.
Let me ask you
Started.
something. How does that happen? How do you grow so fast in a social media platform? You make it sound like anyone can do it. That is just reachable at any time. How did that happen so fast? I mean, it
It's
sounds like everything was boom, boom, boom happening so quick that you didn't even notice how fast you got there before you
it,
knew that it's about to take something apart. Can you
with
explain that?
him it was like that. Like, he has over hundreds of thousands of followers on his account right now. I just was always a secondary bad guy. And bro, if you looked at me, if you saw me in person, you would know that I'm not some blue check mark influencer. Like, I'm not a hot chick either, right? That's like putting her body out there. Like, there's no, like, only professionals really follow my stuff, or just homeboys like yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's easier for like models to get a bunch of followers. Uh, a lot of my clients have hundreds of thousands of followers. So if you have a good product, you have a lot of followers. I'm more just personal brand myself, and it's a lot of groundwork, it's a lot of networking, a lot of getting with people sharing your good content, right? It takes time to develop that, right? And you got to be a character. You got to be out there. It's a and everybody wants to do it.
So it's competitive, huh?
Bro, 1,000%, man. And I mean, I heard this stat, and I don't know how super accurate it is, but I keep it in the back of my head. One of our clients, good friend of mine, told me there's over 10,000 apparel brands that get started every single day. And then you're looking at the data, right? 85% of businesses shut their doors within 2 years, right? So what I'm seeing a lot is that there is a lack of identity because they see the Tai Lopez's, they see the Grant Cardones, right? Take charge of your life, take this, take that. And I'm a Gary Vee guy because he actually explains the opposite. Like, you shouldn't be if you don't have the sales skills, if you don't have the skills, if you don't have the DNA to be the number one, then you shouldn't be the number one. You should have more self-awareness to see what your strengths and weaknesses are. Because when everything happens, when you're the number one, it all falls on you,
And that's
right?
true.
And
That's true.
I met Gary Vee at USC, and I asked him, hey, what are some good leadership tips? And he told me this: when you're a number one, when you're the CEO, when you're the owner of the business, your workers, they don't work for you. You work for them. And I was just like, and that's a different mindset, because obviously when you think of the CEO, people bring in the coffee, the paper, all the reports and everything, right? But you really work for them. And if you haven't followed Gary Vee, I've read all his books. I still listen to his podcast. Amazing perspective on business. And a lot of it, of the business failures of 85%, right, is due to cash flow accounting, right? They just run out of money. So that means that, people are trying to take money out of their business. And I always tell people, hey, don't expect to make money for the first 3 years. And any money that you do make, put it back into the business. That business needs to grow. You need to give it good soil, and good soil is money, right? And personnel and people that you need to hire, right? Get that part-time job or that full-time job to pay all the bills, and then do all this. Don't socialize at all. So it's a sacrifice, right, to get to where you want, because it's very, very, very uncommon for a normal person to just jump into what they want. If you really want it, then you would sacrifice all your social time. It's like not even a question, right? Your social time would be gone. Like your leisure time would be gone. Like Netflix, video games, going out with friends, that has to be gone. But you still got to pay your bills. You still got to work, right? So that's a good barometer. If you can't do that, probably shouldn't be in business. And the other thing that that I like what Gary said is the number 40 at Facebook. So the 40th guy in charge, 40, is richer than 99% of the world, right? So that means if it's about the money, do not get into business. You can go and be a number 40 at any other corporation, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a sacrifice. And I'll tell you this, man, we're not like bankrolling. I mean, my business partner takes a modest salary. I take a small salary from my business. Um, Luckily, I've been blessed, and I'll get more into the mortgage side. But, we're happy. We don't feel like we're controlled by anybody, and I've seen the opposite of guys making 150, 200, completely miserable, but doing because their lifestyle is so huge. And that's the other thing. If you want to really dive into entrepreneurship, you got to humble yourself, man, as far as like your means, because you got to live way below your means, dog. And
Let me ask you a
that's,
quick question, real quick. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you, man. When it comes to
yeah,
entrepreneurship, uh, do you feel entrepreneurship is something that you can just get into, or it requires the experience? For example, you went through a lot of stuff before you said the word
yeah,
entrepreneurship, okay?
yeah,
You mentioned everything you've done, your failures, the relationship you had with your mother, the things you went through in your early 20s, joining the Marine Corps, the things you went through while you were trying to conduct a business during the Marine Corps. And so
yeah,
there's ups and downs, right? So I
yeah,
feel like entrepreneurship is not something you can just grow into from one day to the next. I think that comes
yeah,
with failures and victories, and at the same time the process, you know.
and,
And there is
and
and this guy that you're talking about, he
mhm.
knows a lot about business psychology, because this is business psychology, okay?
Yeah, oh
It's not
yeah,
it's
oh
not
yeah,
just about you gotta grab life by the horns and let's roll. No, there's a humbleness involved as well, because like this guy said, you work for your workers. You
yeah,
as your boss, as the boss of the company, and it's
yeah,
true. When you see things like when you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your company. It makes
right.
sense.
This is, I didn't even talk about all the business mishaps that I had, the investments that didn't go through, the apps I invested in, and the fights that I had with my wife about it, right? Just it, Dude, this is Surge is like my fourth venture out of five that has like actually like panned out and is profitable, right? My first full year in the Marine Corps, I was paying back payday places, like 8 of them, just getting out of debt, right? And now, I'm a homeowner and about to buy my duplex and everything. So, and that's more dipping into the financial mortgage side that I'm in now. And it's a sacrifice, man, because if one failure puts you out in business, man, you probably weren't meant for it. If two failures puts you out of business, you probably weren't meant for it. If three failures put you out of business, you probably weren't meant for it, man. And any successful entrepreneur can tell you that, bro. That how many times, how many obstacles that they've gone through, how many. And let me tell you this: I used to think, Jeff, that I was cursed, brother. And this is some business psychology. I used to think I was just worthless, hopeless, and that's how business and debt and failure and your wife telling you got to get a normal job will do to you, dog. And all your friends and family telling you you just got to get a normal job. That's what it'll do to you, man. So having the fortitude to fight through all that, get the jobs that you need, you still take care of your family, right? Have the humbleness to give up and sacrifice all other like pleasures and comfort in life to get what you want to do. That's I mean, very little people can actually do that. And it's a harsh reality for a lot of people that are just like, oh, you could just start a business. The biggest lie and the
Oh
biggest
man.
lie, the biggest lie in business, homeboy, is that it's a turnkey. Oh, you can just start an Amazon store and do this. If it's that damn easy, you already know that it's crowded, dog. You already know that it's crowded. And there's only so much money to pass around. You know, there's only so much money circulating in this world. To even get a little piece, just know there's 100,000 people just even going for that same little piece, right? That's how I like to think about it, dog. There's there's it's just it's so vast, and what I'm seeing is a lot of lack of identity, bro. Now let me tell you this too: I'm a spiritual man. So if I believe truly that if the Lord wants to have me working at Jack in the Box as a manager or whatever, and I'm not hating on anybody who's working at Jack in the Box, right?
You gotta start somewhere, you know? You
you
gotta start
you
somewhere.
know if he wants to put me there, he can put me there, but my identity is with my faith. So I'm not going to let a business, what that tells me is I'm not going to let a business fall. What happens is a lot of these entrepreneurs too, because there a lot of guys don't know when to quit too. As far as like this, hey, this is not working out. I don't have I'm putting my family in jeopardy and all this. They don't know when to quit. And they'll end up losing their whole family and losing themselves and getting into drugs. And suicide is actually the highest, entrepreneurship has the highest suicide rate as far as any career. Because imagine being out, Jeff. Imagine just investing everything and it's all gone. Wife's gone. You're an alcoholic. You're that's a dark place to be in with no hope, right? And that's the lack of identity. You gotta put it up. You gotta have your ground roots somewhere before I start a business, bro. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be speaking with you right now. That didn't suck me up because there was some dark times through this whole spiel that we were talking about, man, and to
Oh,
where I'm at now. And I
yeah.
mean, there was stresses last month, right? Now, beyond blessed, beyond blessed. Now, this is what happened, brother. I worked a lot in the real estate and mortgage industry, basically teaching people social media, how to get more business, became decent at it, got the attention of some more. So we brought on some clients to our digital marketing company that were realtors, mortgage lenders, right? So then what happened was I then got asked by the lady that I work with now, Toby Love, to be a mortgage loan originator. And, she had an opportunity and I thought, it would be a great opportunity. So this was back in January, right? And this is what I'm currently putting a lot of my work in and seeing success in it, right? Um, but I strongly believe that a lot of that success is because of the DNA and what I grew up in and the environment. Just kind of meant for it, if that makes sense. And
So you feel like that background, your family background impacted the
oh
decision to
yeah,
join this team.
100%. And like I'm getting disciplined. I've never worked harder in my life than I am right now. And um, but I'm doing it too because I want to see Surge succeed. Recently, my business partner Nick actually left his full time job to jump full on board with our business. So he was taking care of his family, obviously, as a little kid and everything, and paying his bills, being smart, being humble, right? And we we've gone through a lot, but we're good at what we do. We just know that whoever holds their breath the longest, brother, wins. You know, if you can hold your breath, if you can, you know, invest in what you need to invest in, live tight. And I did mortgages so that business can, the cash, like I said, it's a soil, so that can continue to grow. That's why I got into the mortgage business, and it's kind of like there's layers, right? I'm also, Jeff, I don't know if I mentioned, I'm also in the background check of actually becoming a sports agent in the NFL. So that's like more of a long-term project, kind of like a project that I had as a kid. But I just recently became the owner of a college football media site called Current Station that we're partnering up with a gentleman out in Miami named Jake. So there's still little seeds, looming, right? And that's why I thought it was really interesting that you asked me to speak on this, because you usually just bring on super successful people. I think I've become successful to the point as a man of my wife, my God comes first, my wife, and I'm working my butt off just to stay in the game. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that maybe a year or maybe 2 years or 5 years, however long it takes, we could be, together, non-quarantined, right? And, sitting on, at our baller pad, you know what I mean? So this was really, it's a, it's a grind, man. And I apologize if I kamikaze your vlog, bro, and took this,
No,
but
no, not at
there's a
all,
lot
man.
of there's a
I was
lot
just
of
gonna,
passion.
I was just gonna say that, I don't just bring extremely successful people. I mean,
Yeah,
from my humble perspective, is that we're barely making it. We're trying to make it. That's the way I see it,
yeah,
and I think it's good to inform people that want to get there as well, on how to get
yeah,
there and how to share our stories, right? And I
yeah,
understand, that some of us feel that way, I mean, I feel successful, but I'm not where society defines success, I
exactly,
think because
exactly.
I
Yeah.
know where I come from, you know and when I know where I
And
come from,
yeah,
I know that what I accomplished is something I would have never thought of from someone who came from where they came from. But it's good
right,
enough, Am I satisfied? Yeah, I am. Do I want more? I would lie to you if I told you no. So of course I want
yeah,
more, But we'll see
and,
how far as we can get, and we'll see what happens. But
and now people,
before we go,
yeah,
just to wrap it up, tell me everything you've done. Okay, I mean, just mention all the job positions you've done since you
yeah,
start working.
yeah,
And what do you recommend people that are starting to want to work, people that want to find out what they're good at? What do you recommend them to do to stick to it and not jump from place to place? Because
yeah,
me and you have become yes men when it comes to work,
right,
but it hasn't been because we don't want success. It's because we want to see
right,
where we're gonna be good at. You know what I'm saying? But what do you
right.
recommend for those people that want to be good at
I,
something so they can stick to it?
Essentialism, as in essentialism, as like sticking with one thing. Now, I talked about a lot of stuff, but essentially, what I am is a salesman, as in like selling mortgages, selling marketing clients, selling players and their families to hopefully trust me with their services to be their agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and to answer your first question of like what I've broken down, I've been a digital marketer, and I was that for like basically a large majority. And my biggest skill set in the mortgage industry is how to bring in clients digitally, right? So um, and I've been able to connect with athletes online. So mine was just kind of like spread out. Like I haven't like completely just 180 my career per se, right? So my biggest advice would be essentialism. And before even that, before even jumping into something, see what your where your spiritual base is. I highly suggest it, and find out, have the self-awareness to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and don't worry about your weaknesses per se, right? You can get your weaknesses up to par, but your strengths are the thing that you have to double down on. You have to double down on. Um, and a lot of people are scared to talk on camera. I feel like one of my strengths is being able to talk on camera. That's why I post almost every single day on social media. I keep my stuff very, very frequent. So to those people, please don't try to be somebody you're not, right? But it's like the reverse of that is don't listen to people telling you to not be something either. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're gonna face a lot of opposition, especially if your little ambitious thing isn't making a bunch of money. People are gonna tell you should just get a job. You should just get a job. You should get a job. And that's what I was saying though. Self-awareness, a lot of people should have that job and not jump into digital. And I don't want to discredit people who are not, but you're gonna save yourself a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of disappointment and sadness and darkness if you fail in business, or if you don't get into business because you weren't supposed to be there in the first place. But people are gonna do what they're gonna do, man. So people will learn, and I'm sure there's people listening on that's probably tried business and found out it wasn't from them, and they're great. They're working somewhere. They have great weekends and they have a great family life and everything. The biggest thing with entrepreneurship, it's just more of like it's just my career path. Everybody has their own career path. I'm not telling people to be entrepreneurs, and the biggest message that's being put out on social media is be an entrepreneur, be an entrepreneur, we still need electricians, we still need HVAC and plumbers and stuff, and that's an underserved market making six figures. You know what I'm saying? So it's it comes down to self-awareness and then staying essential, brother. That's my answer to your question.
Yeah, man, and thank you for giving me your opinion and your point of view and how others can also become successful, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you into the show, is to share your story, share
Yeah,
what made you an entrepreneur, so others can have an idea that, let's say they don't become entrepreneurs, but if they stick to something and they never quit
yeah,
at it, they can become really
yeah.
good at it, and they can have something to offer, not just in society, but become essential as well.
Yeah. And
And that's why it's very important to be able to motivate these people. As a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons why I started this blog show, is
yeah,
to be able to inspire people, motivate people to never quit, to always pursue what they want to achieve in life. And you're gonna have opposition, just like you said. There's gonna be oppositions from many angles. As a matter of fact, you're gonna have oppositions from your friends, from your family, from the people that you don't need it from. As a matter of fact, those are the least you expect it from, and those are the first ones out there, criticizing your failures, instead of encouraging your attempt. And it sucks, because those are the people you expect inspiration and motivation from, and the one you get from is the least you expect, which is a
at
stranger,
least you
somebody
expect.
you
Yeah.
really don't know, and then somebody who wants to help somebody. You'll be
I
surprised.
I can't tell you how many people I've met online and become great friends with, bro, over the years, and they just kind of seen where I've gone, and I've been real. I've met with them. I'd love to meet with you in person sometime, brother. But I think what you're doing here is very, very motivating, Jeff. And bro, you never know. You never know where this is gonna land. That's the other, and this is what I want to leave off with. You gotta swing the bat, and you're only gonna learn really. You can save a lot of time by learning off of other people's experiences, but you gotta still swing the bat. The other half that I see, Jeff, is a lot of people not swinging the bat too, over analyzing, right? I always said that you gotta be kind of stupid enough to do this, right? You gotta have kind of that in you. You can't be completely stupid, but you gotta be stupid enough to jump in, because it's open waters, man, and you don't know what's in the water. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. You want to be in a cage because there's a lot of sharks out there in the waters, man, and it's shark infested. People are trying to get your money, and then leave off. I want to also leave off with, hey, if you got anybody in this show, Jeff, that wants to have a second opinion as far as a VA loan or anything like that, they can expect an honest opinion out of me. And I want to set them up for success to build equity for themselves, right? So,
There was just so
um,
much to talk about, man. Honestly, I mean, I wish we could have spent 3 hours talking about every single little thing we did. Trust me, if I talked about what I did, we would not finish the blog show today.
yeah,
It was just
yeah,
so much information, and it sucks that we can't share it all at once. So we have to share the best. the best information possible with the time we have, so people can stay focused and engaged. Because
Absolutely.
also we want to be able to have our audience listen to the entire show, so they can
Absolutely.
actually, there's gonna be something on this episode that they're gonna get in their brain, and they're actually gonna keep it there, and it's gonna help them succeed at something.
One person, if one person is able to see this, and I always say that with all my content, that's a good advice piece for anybody. If one person and you can like influence them, just one person at a time, it'll be straight. But I really appreciate, man. This was awesome, dude. I did not expect it to, not that I didn't expect it to be fun or anything, but we got deep and stuff, man. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you giving me the platform to be able to share. And if somebody's out there, please follow me on my Instagram, Make Money with Chris, no H on Chris. And yeah, it's, man, I want to connect with anybody that's listening here, man.
And I want to thank you, man, for being part of the blog show. This is something new, and you know how it is when you start something. It's the hardest thing to do. The hardest
Yeah,
thing to do, whether any business, any idea that you want to bring to the table, is starting it. Because
yeah,
I know I failed many times in a lot
yeah,
of things I attempted to do in my life. So I already know how failure feels like. So if my show
yeah.
is not going fast paced, if it's not getting all the followers in a fast pace, I'm okay with it. And you
Okay.
know why I'm okay with it? Because I know my product. I know that I'm
Yeah,
giving it my all, and I'm trying my very best to
that's
get it
right.
out there for the proper people and for the proper audience. And you know what? If I need a year, 2 years, 3 years to grow it, then that's how long it'll take. But the
Yeah. No,
persistence
it's
is the key in any idea anyone can set themselves to.
yeah. And
Persistence.
take care of yourself, man. Get your bills paid, do what you need to do, but sacrifice that those
Yeah.
Netflixes, sacrifice any leisure because the outcome, let me tell you, and this is something I have to tell myself, the outcome of what's gonna come from that sacrifice, bro, is gonna be way funner than that show that you just watched. It's that delayed gratification. You know what I'm saying, Doug? And this is a instant gratification addicted society. Delay it, delay it, and you gratified through the through your career. And it's takes time to get there. But I think you're doing a great job, man. I really appreciate it. I hope I can come on again, dog, sometime in the future. This was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
I'm sure you will, man, for sure. And for the audience that's listening, we're gonna try to stick to. Whenever I bring him again, I'm gonna stick to one topic so we can really get in depth into that topic, because it's very
I
it's
think this
very
is an
exciting when you
intro.
talk when you talk about a topic and you go in depth to it. There are many
Yeah,
things that we probably don't talk about when we talk about a lot of topics in one sitting. But when you stick to that field, when you stick to that topic, you go
yeah,
in so much depth into it that people will actually understand what went
yeah,
wrong, what went right, what can be adjusted to be able to
yeah.
pursue it and continue with it. So thank you for being here, man. I can't
Of
stress it
course.
enough how I'm grateful I am for the people that make the time to be part of this project and this vlog show. It's just incredible about how people can believe in just an idea, and I'm glad that you guys had the I guess you guys made the time, but most importantly, believe in what I'm doing, and I'm just so
Yeah,
grateful to have you guys here, honestly.
absolutely, Jeff. Well, hey, brother, and anytime, man, anytime you want to bring me on, just I'm a DM away.
All right, I'm gonna put all your information on my social media, Facebook and Instagram, so
Yeah,
people can follow you and look for you in case they have any more questions, whether it's
yeah,
agency or whether it's real estate, whether it's
yeah.
loans, whether it's advertisement, whatever it is that they have any questions on. I'm gonna put all my links there so they can follow you and find you. How
Okay,
does that sound?
perfect. That sounds. That's. I mean, I feel like that's the best type of marketing, man. An endorsement from a squared away dude, man. So thank
You
you,
know,
brother. Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
it's
it.
the least I can do, man, for being here. So
Yeah.
thanks once again.
But yeah, thanks to anybody who's listening too, man. Hope you guys took something from this.
Okay, well, sounds good, man. I'm gonna let you go now. Um, And I can't wait to do more vlogs with you and other people as well. There's so many people out there that I'm sure that want to be part of this. So I can't wait to have
Absolutely.
every single one of you here.
Hey, God bless you, man. God bless your project. God bless anybody you bring on. God bless to the people that listened on. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, Jeff.